This diary holds half a lifetime of Janine Béchard's most discomforting memories.
It holds a lot of horrible, unbelievable situations in it.
Detailing decades of alleged abuses, verbal, mental, and physical, chronicling her 23-year-long tumultuous relationship with Chatham-Kent police officer Darcy Lunn. The secrets within, locked away.
He's a police officer, and he told me over and over again that none of the police officers would believe me. They wouldn't believe my story. They wouldn't believe my son. We were to keep it a secret. It was a family secret.
The pair met when Béchard was a 15-year-old high school student. She says the abuse escalated throughout their relationship, even after they adopted a son. But Béchard says she stayed in, out of fear for her and her son's lives.
I did it because I was in survival mode, and if I wasn't in survival mode, I probably would not be standing here today.
Béchard says she tried to get Lunn professional help for his mental health on multiple occasions.
You believe that you might be able to help them and that they can change, and if they could only see it for themselves and recognize that they need that help. And you stick it with them because you want to make sure that they get that help. And I tried for years.
Unsuccessful, Béchard says she reached a point where she felt the threat became too much to bear.
He used to bring home his gun and he pointed it at me and he threatened to kill me with it. Darcy was not concerned whatsoever and joked about it, picked it up, put it in my face and laughed it off and said, if I wanted to kill you, I could kill you right now.
Through his lawyer, Lunn vehemently denies this allegation. In March 2015, according to court documents, Lunn threatened to strike Béchard while presenting a balled fist. Their son stood between Lunn and Béchard, then Lunn pushed her against a wall. That's when she decided to get out.
I knew in that moment that if I didn't say something or do something to stop it, I would be dead. The rage and the look in his eyes were so cold, and I just knew he had it in him in that moment to take my life.
She filed for divorce and moved out with her teenaged son. The process was finalized in 2017. As the years passed, Béchard says the weight of the emotional toll on herself and her son was too heavy to keep buried away.
I'll never forget Halloween. I'll always remember it as the day that the secrets came out. Freedom.
October 31st, 2019. Béchard called Sarnia OPP.
And it was the hardest thing I ever did because I didn't think that the police would believe me. I didn't think that the police could help. But I was desperate and I didn't want to see my son suffer.
2 days later, Darcy Lunn was arrested and charged with assault and uttering threats.
We didn't become aware of any of these allegations until Ms. Béchard filed a report with the OPP.
Lunn was suspended with pay by Chatham-Kent Police, pending the outcome of the case. In May 2020, Lunn pleaded guilty to assaulting Béchard and also to uttering threats to cause bodily harm. He received a suspended sentence and 3 years probation, with conditions that he's not to contact his wife or son or possess a weapon except the firearm issued by Chatham-Kent Police, and only while working. Police Services Act disciplinary charges quickly followed.
Chief Conn thought that would be inappropriate given the gravity of the circumstances, so he assigned, again, an outside counsel, an outside adjudicator.
In December, Lunn pleaded guilty to 3 counts of discreditable conduct and 1 count of neglect of duty for bringing his firearm home without the chief's permission, and for threatening and assaulting his wife. In his decision, retired Deputy Chief of York Police Terence Kelly took into account Lunn's exemplary service record, but said Lunn's behavior was alarmingly far short of the conduct expected of a serving officer, more so an officer with his length of seniority. For his actions, Lunn was demoted from first class to the rank of fourth class constable and successively promoted to higher ranks for 6 months each. After 18 months, he was to be reinstated to first class constable. According to Michael Pierce, that amounts to a $30,000 gross pay cut.
Both triers of fact felt that there was, rehabilitative potential, or I'm guessing the decision would have been different.
Chatham-Kent Police Chief Gary Conn accepted the decision, noting the service will continue to hold officers accountable. Through a statement, he said in part, "This is certainly an unfortunate and disturbing set of circumstances surrounding Constable Lunn. Any police officer is expected to uphold higher standards of conduct in both their professional and personal lives." In late December, after being suspended with pay for nearly 14 months, Constable Lunn was reinstated and is once again actively patrolling the community of Chatham-Kent. Bayshard was not invited by prosecutors to testify in the disciplinary hearing, nor was she advised when Lunn resumed his policing duties.
In retrospect, we should have been, more forthright in the notification. There was a miscommunication internally. That falls within the responsibility of the professional standards section with our service. But it certainly wasn't done out of any sort of malice or ill intent.
CTV reached out to Lunn through his lawyer, Lucas O'Hara. O'Hara advised that Constable Darcy Lunn respectfully declined the opportunity to respond based on legal advice. O'Hara also indicated that the sentences Constable Lunn received were consistent with previous precedents involving similar facts. Bayshard believes the seriousness of the situation was ignored by police and the courts, and asserts Lunn continues to be protected by the badge.
It doesn't make any sense to me that somebody who was able to sneak their gun home on a regular, consistent basis over a span of a few years, and then threaten their family with it, is allowed to hold the same gun again for their job and to protect the community with it.
To suggest that we are trying to hide anything, I would not characterize it that way at all. I think that we turned the matter over to an independent prosecution team and an outside adjudicator, and those decisions were made by those people. Both triers of fact found it appropriate that can occur.
According to his lawyer, Constable Lunn has since successfully completed domestic violence counseling through the Changing Ways Partner Assault Response Program. It was at this park in Wallaceburg Bayshard would find reprieve during her 19-year marriage. An escape. It's the same place she chose to speak out, to put aside those fears that plagued her entire adult life, and speak her truth to power.
I have to put those fears aside because that's what stops change. And we need change. We need change in Chatham-Kent. We need change everywhere when it comes to the police force. They need to take these situations seriously because the victims don't deserve to live in silence and live scared.
In Wallaceburg, Rich Garton, CTV News. For 23 years, Janine Bayshard says she buried her darkest secrets, lied to family and friends, and continued to live in a relationship she characterizes as abusive.
But inside it's killing you because you can't share the actual truth as to how that happened, and that you were tripped or that you were, thrown against the wall.
Her relationship was with veteran Chatham-Kent Constable Darcy Lunn. The pair were married for 19 years until their divorce in 2017. Throughout the marriage, Bayshard says she documented everything in this black binder she calls her diary.
I kept all the emails, I kept pictures. I tried to keep a diary just in case I ever had that moment to share my story.
That moment came in October 2019 when she finally went to police.
The reason why I came forward, though, in 2019 is because of my son. My son is a young man now, and he's trying to sort out what happened, why it happened, and how he can move on with his life.
Lunn pleaded guilty to assault and uttering threats to cause bodily harm in May 2020. He received a suspended sentence and 3 years probation. Police Act disciplinary charges quickly followed. In December 2020, Lunn pleading guilty to 3 counts of discreditable conduct and 1 count of neglect of duty in relation to the assault, threats, and for bringing his service weapon home without permission. Michael Pierce of Chatham-Kent Police says the service condemns domestic violence and other criminal offenses.
It is particularly troubling when we have one of our own members perpetrate domestic violence on another person. So we would encourage people to report any time they're the victim of a crime, and that matter will get investigated.
We reached out to Constable Lunn through his lawyer, Lucas O'Hara. O'Hara advised that Lunn was declining to comment based on legal advice.
Holding on to 23 years of secrets was so difficult, and it's the wrong decision.
Genevieve Ishak, the clinical director at Hiatus House in Windsor, says people should never wait to seek help.
Reaching out and talking to a counselor is really important, and we will help them figure out what they need and connect them to the services.
According to Ishak, rates of abuse are steadily rising during the pandemic, but promises help is a phone call away, 24 hours a day.
We are open, and that we're here to listen to them, to ensure that they are heard and believed, and that we have resources from emergency shelter to counseling services for every family member that has been impacted or is impacted by domestic violence.
Bayshard looks forward to the day this is all behind her.
When I think about that book, right now I'm looking forward to burning it for my closure.
Bayshard says the fear was blinding, but wants others to know they don't have to wait.
They don't have to be afraid, and I'm hoping that somebody will hear what I have to say and recognize that we need to make changes so that there is help out there for people that have been abused or that are going through an abusive situation.
Rich Garton, CTV News.